Senate Bill SCR 1005 and legislature 90 House districts. This bill is scheduled to be in the Senate Government Committee on the 8th, and it was introduced by Senator Mesnard. And I don't know. This bill, what it provides is that we will have 90 House districts, as opposed, instead of the 60 that we have now, we have 90. Folks, we need more politicians like we need a hole in the head. I mean, 60 members of the House is enough. Now we have to have 90. And the way in which this works is kind of convoluted. It's a long bill, and I had to read it like 4 times before I even had a clue as to what was going on here. Now there is one thing that this bill has that's good in a way, and that is that each individual, if I read it correctly, but again, it was difficult to read, so I'm not even sure that I got it. But if it is the way I think it is that each of these mini districts would have a separate election. In other words, we would not be voting for 2 representatives, we'll be voting for only 1 within each district. I think that's the way it works. And if that's the case, that would be an advantage, because that's one thing that I always have liked, is the idea of having the House seats split into 2, so that you don't have a situation where you have 2 people being elected under the same election, because the weak candidate would also get in as opposed to just the one candidate. But to some extent, this does that. But to have 90 districts, and how does that work as far as the party districts as we have them now? Because each district has its own party district. So now instead of having 30 of those, we would have 90. It is very convoluted, and as a result of that, I don't like it. I would suggest that people do not, or that people ask their legislators to say no to this. So, but Archie may have a different idea.
Well, of course, I've got lots of different ideas, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I got to tell you, we currently have 90 members of our legislature, 30 senators and 60 members of the House. And we currently, so far, and we've got another week, I think, or so to go for members of the legislature to introduce bills. And I believe currently we're standing somewhere around 1,800 bills that have been introduced, and there's going to be a bunch more. So that's roughly 20 bills for each member of the House and the Senate. So now we're going to increase that by 25%. And so that means that, you know, this now all of a sudden we're going to have 2,400 bills. I suggest that those of you that have any interest in this at all, that you might want to go to a library somewhere and start seeing how many volumes there currently are to all of the codes in the state of Arizona. I believe there's something like 50 different titles to our code. And so now we're going to have 25% more. We're going to have another 30 people out there that are going to be introducing bills and just expanding our code. And we get enough nonsense bills already. I don't think we need 30 more people out there helping us introduce nonsense bills. But the good part about this is if you're really strong on amending your Constitution, that's what this takes. My suggestion is you don't amend your Constitution. It's entirely too difficult to amend an amendment to the Constitution. If you want to do this, just do it by a straight bill, but do not amend the Constitution. The other thing is that it's not to be effective until 2033. So, I mean, maybe you got a little bit of stuff. I mean, some of them maybe will move to another state before 2033. Terrible bill. Terrible bill.
Yeah, this is a definite no. One thing about these bills coming up for next week is that, and that surprised me that there's so many bills there that are so terrible. We have over 1,600 bills that have been introduced. And I've never seen a bigger collection of terrible bills as I have seen. I've been observing this for the last 9 years, and this is the absolute worst year for terrible bills.
It is. I mean, there are some bills that are coming out that make absolutely no sense. I don't have the faintest idea to come up with an idea of why a legislator would introduce some of these bills. They obviously did not think about them. And I'm going to get back to my pet peeve, and a legislative council are simply not doing their job. They're just simply not doing their job.